Voncille, it seems like a lot of couples today are getting counseling or advice from the world. What do you think about that?
I think it's a bad idea. I think they should seek Christian counseling.
I agree, and that's why we're going to continue our discussion with a Christian counseling team.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, and welcome to Living a Godly Marriage. My name is Melvin Greene, and I'm your host.
And I'm your co-host, Voncille Greene.
And in this episode, we continue our discussion with Christian marriage counseling team of Dr. Paul Ball and his lovely wife, Cathy Ball.
Greetings. Hello.
Hello.
So good to be with you again. We're honored to be here.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And in the first part of our discussion, and we recommend that you look at that if you have not yet seen it, we started talking about Christian counseling, marriage counseling, and we discussed some of the issues that have come up, and we'll continue doing that in this episode by asking questions. So let's start off with one, Dr. Ball, that comes up in a lot of marriages, and that is finances. Wow. So what financial issues come up the most with couples?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that come up is not having a family budget. It's an old story, but sometimes we don't know where the expenses are, what the income may be. And so there's disagreements over saving and spending habits.
Yes.
And as a result of that, each family needs to establish a family budget to be able to manage the day-to-day expenses, paying off debt, etc. And the credit card thing is also another thing that a lot of families go through, where the credit card has $5,000 on it or more in some cases, where the other spouse doesn't see why that should be. Old student loans pop up in the issues with marriage and money. But another thing is the difference in income or wealth. You may have one spouse who inherited a lot, and the other spouse is kind of hanging on, and sometimes decisions are made because I make the most money. I own the house. It's my car, and so those things come up in terms of income or wealth. And then the biggest thing is the different philosophies of managing money. People have a lot of different philosophies in how they should manage money, and it causes a conflict. But as we all know, if we could just look at, Judas is just one example, of how the love of money can really, change your trajectory in life. And so I consider the financial piece one of the main fiery dots of the enemy. Is that if we're arguing over a nickel or a dime or traveling or this or that or allowances, then there's a lot of unmet needs in the financial world.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dr. Ball, is it okay to ask to see your future husband's or wife's credit report?
Well, I would say this to you. It depends on what the couple agrees to do. See, everything in marriage has to be compromise and negotiation.
Right.
We use those words a lot. We have to compromise and we have to negotiate. And if I'm not comfortable in sharing my financial situation with you, what part of the relationship are we in? Are we in the beginning of the relationship, the romantic phase? Are we in the reality phase of the relationship where I see that they put a boot on your car? So the idea is that how much information needs to be shared, especially if we're not married yet.
Right.
Because we're trying to build this on trust and faith in God. And so each couple has to decide, is that something that I really want to do? Because a lot of times, if it doesn't look right, even though they love that person, and now we see you don't manage your money well, and you got $10,000 in debt, it's a good possibility that they may not get married.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, when Mel and I decided we would get married, I did not have a lot of credit card debt, but I did have one big debt, and that I was afraid to tell him about. But I knew I had to come clean about it, so I did have to share it with him.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we came up with a plan on how to, get rid of that debt.
Yes.
And I agree that, hey, we're the two becoming one.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I'll take that on, and we'll work through it.
Yes, and we did.
Yes, yes.
Congratulations.
But it was a very scary situation for me because I've fallen in love with him. I want to marry him. I didn't want to scare him away with this big debt that I owed. But I knew that I had to be upfront with him and share that information with him.
Yeah. And I think that's important. You got to really be honest about it. I mean, and it's also a lot of times in marriage, you got one person's a spender and the other person's a saver.
I'd like to say stingy.
my my wife says that sometimes. Being frugal, or whatever the nice word is. I'm not so quick to just spend all the time, because it's going to rain one day. But
Yes.
that's the
Right.
negotiate and compromise part in terms of what's actually needed, and
Yeah.
again, that's spiritual leadership.
But it's
Yeah.
also
And
realizing each other's strengths.
Right.
If I would ask for the credit report. Because
Mhm.
then I know what I'm getting into.
Right.
And if you're the saver and I'm the spender, then if you work together, then you're stronger, because of that. So I think it's all good.
Yes.
We have to be how long you've been in that relationship, though. You're not going to go out on the first dinner date and say, "Hey, I want to see your credit report."
I don't know.
Some people
Right.
may do that. They may do that, but if you're asking me, I think that's something we have to pray about
Yeah.
to see if I want to, because I may not even be sure. And I'm giving you all my information.
Yeah.
I think it's a prayer, Voncille and host,
Right.
that each couple has to decide. And remember, the agreement, the covenant is very important as to what we're saying we're going to do. Everything is based on a covenant with God and with each other.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that because it's not just two of you. You remember you got married and you said vows before the Lord.
And it's a covenant, not a
It's a
contract.
covenant and not a contract. You're so true, so true
Yes.
here. And
Yes.
Dr. Ball, you mentioned a key word, and I want to ask Cathy about that. Why is prayer important in marriage?
Um, wow. I think because um, praying together strengthens you as a couple.
Hmm.
And just prayer in and of itself is your communication with God, right? So that's strengthening your relationship with Him, not always about praying for something, but praying that God's trusting that He's going to know exactly what you need, even if you don't have the words to say it.
Right.
Mm,
That's good.
yeah, that's so true. And in marriage, it is a journey. At times you need God's help, and He's there
Yeah.
to help you. If any of you lack wisdom, let them ask of God, James says. So definitely true.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Dr. Ball, I'm curious, does social media or pornography show up a lot in your counseling experience?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of times it can often be an addiction
Yeah.
as it relates to the time that people spend on social media. It's very, very huge as it relates to what social media brings to the marriage. And a lot of times it's not always so good based on a person's personality and how they deal with adversity, because a lot of clients come in because of social media. What somebody posted, what somebody said, a old friend or something like that. And it causes conflict and confusion, especially if one of the spouses are already a little bit insecure.
Right.
There's a lot of variables with this social media thing in terms of what are we actually watching, what are we actually hearing, what's actually being said. And it can be a real issue if left unresolved because that person can live without their spouse on social media.
Hmm.
There's no quality time. It's always on the phone or on the whatever it is that they're on. I'm a little older, so I don't do much social media at all, but a lot of people do. So, I don't see a lot of that, but I do hear the issues that come with it. And a lot of
Okay.
it is trust issues.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. I was asking, am I frequently on Facebook? I said, no, I have my face in the book.
Yeah.
I like that. You got some good
Man,
one-liners.
I love your one-liners, Melvin. But look, see the idea of social media also feeds in this flirting thing in this generation. A lot
Yeah.
of flirting on social media, a lot of secrecy, Voncille, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of separatedness, and sometimes people are envious and jealous of your blessings, you
Yes.
know.
Mm.
And so it's a big distraction, which also can cause that demon of lust to show up. And so
Yes.
there's a lot of
Right.
things that social media does that people like darkness rather than light. And social media is unbelievable the stuff that you can see on there.
Yeah.
And people like being in the wilderness.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah.
And
And it reminds me of something you said before about the wife needing to be top priority.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And,
one way of looking at that is I like to say in our relationship with the Lord, how do you spell, because a lot of people say they love the Lord and they say they love their spouse, but how do you spell love? Well, from God's point of view, he sometimes spells it Time.
oh yeah,
How much time you're spending with him,
With
how
him,
much time you're spending
with
with your
each other.
spouse.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
especially if that's one of your spouse's love language, quality time.
Yeah.
Right.
If that's not being done, you might be loving that person the wrong way or vice versa. But no, I think it's 100%, as it relates to the things that come out of it. And sometimes you can get in something, but it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
Always picture a husband and wife like both of you are sitting, and right in between you is a cell phone. And that
Mm.
whole relationship in the bed in the morning and night, you both sitting there, but in between both of you, like me and Kathy, there's a cell phone here that I'm on it the whole time.
Oh,
And that's how used to call it menage a trois, right? But it's a cell phone,
Mhm.
and
right.
it occupies a tremendous amount of time.
Right. Right. Okay. Um, I want to ask Kathy a question. Is is it easy for a couple to resolve conflict in marriage? Or is that sort of you learn as you go kind of thing?
I think it depends on the people, right? So, for some like myself, I stress with conflict. I don't like conflict at all. So there are often times where I may not speak up, simply because I don't want to have the conflict.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I've had to learn that I'm in a safe environment and I can say what I have to say without it exploding, right? So, gosh, history, right? What you bring into the marriage, what your experience with conflict was, having the tools, which is where therapy and counseling really help. What are good tools to have, healthy tools to have to resolve conflict. So I don't think it has to be a deal breaker, but I think as people, we need to learn how to handle conflict in a healthy way.
Yeah. I'm a better writer than I am a verbal communicator. So
Me too.
sometimes
We
I
have
will,
that in common.
I will write my feelings out.
Mhm.
So that gives me an opportunity to really think about what I want to say
Mhm.
in a non um, judgmental way or confrontational way.
Right,
So is
right.
that okay to do to write it out and then discuss it?
Yes, I think that's good to do because it gives you an opportunity to think about choosing your battles and what's important. Because so much comes at us today that we really have to choose our battle.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I'm big on conflict resolution as it relates to a communication covenant. that says we will meet X amount of times a week to sit down like we're doing now and to identify specifically what's really wrong. We have to be able to, as my wife was saying, be in a place where the spirit can dwell. And
Yes.
so
Mhm.
with conflict resolution, it's conflict because somebody's needs not being met, somebody's expectation not being met, somebody's concerned about something in the marriage. But what happens is that the rule of thumb in psychology says that in order for couples to survive this generation, it takes 15 hours over a 7-day period to communicate.
Wow.
And I say to couples all the time, divide 7 days into 15. We should be talking 2 hours a day. And many people don't do that at all because they say they don't have time. But that's the issue because you don't really know how I'm doing. You don't know what's happening with the kids in college. You don't know what happened to my job today or me not having a job. And
Mhm.
so I'm just emphasizing the importance of scheduling communication covenant talk times. We have
Wow.
to have certain times. And I just go easy. I said, okay, if psychology is requiring 2 hours a day, just give me 30 minutes, 3 days a week. You talk about a deal at Macy's. Okay, if I can do 90 minutes in a week, then I'm doing good. And it's a sacrifice because the schedules are so off these days. Someone leaves us sick, somebody got to go to church, somebody's on the choir, we got to take the kids. But I would say that's very important to develop a communication talk time. And
Yeah,
that rule is when we do that, you cannot talk when I talk.
that's right.
Right, right. So
Respect.
it's not just talking, it's the listening.
Listening.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes,
Why we
sir.
have 2 ears and one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Especially when
Yeah,
you don't really want to hear what they have to say.
right,
Right.
right.
That's how you grow because you know what's coming. You know.
Right. And I think it's good to remember as well is that the goal is to not necessarily win the argument or get them to agree, but to understand what they're saying or understand
And
their point
value.
of view and value their point of view.
Yes.
That's so.
Excellent. Yeah. So we use this phrase, Voncille. We use this phrase, Melvin. Once the spouse says what it is, the circumstance, situation, pain, hurt, anger, whatever it is, a couple's partner must use this phrase. So
Hmm.
what I hear you saying is,
Yes.
Wow.
if you want to make the enemy go away, then you are asking God to help you not to be confused in what you said, I need $5, but at the same time to show you that I was listening to you. And
Yes.
what couples say most of the time is, I can't talk to you. You don't listen to me. Do what you want. I don't care. But when you use that phrase after you say, I want dinner after this show, then you can say, so what I hear you saying is, you're taking me to Cheesecake Factory after this show. Okay. And the person can say, that's not what I said. You can take me to Cheesecake Factory after the show. So it's just those little nuances that come into
That's
play.
excellent. So let me ask also, Kathy, about when Mel and I got married, I belonged to another church. And of course, when we got married,
Hmm.
he belonged to another church. And so I really did not want to leave my church because it was a family to me.
Oh, yeah.
They had loved on me and
Mhm.
really took care of me, especially after I got sick years ago,
Mhm.
really sick. And so they were my family as well. And so, how do you feel about what would you say to a couple if the one spouse wants to go to another church, a different church
Mhm.
than
Then the
the
other
other
spouse.
spouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
So
question.
we're actually in that situation now, right? And number one, stay together if you can, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
You should be going to the same church. But I do believe that there are times that God calls one of us to go to one place to serve for whatever He's calling us to do. But that may not be for your partner.
Mhm.
So for me, I wanted to go to a specific church. I felt called to be there. It helped me grow, in God. And thank goodness I'm married, to someone who's confident and understands that. I'm like, good, that's great. You go do that. But I'm still gonna do X, Y, Z. Um, and so I think you have to be flexible. I think the priority should be, if at all possible, be together.
Mm.
So what we do is he comes to my church twice a month. I go twice a month to wherever he wants to go. And so, we've come up with that compromise.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, good word, compromise. Yeah, you got to work together.
That's right.
And just like in that situation, and many times in marriage, it's not going to be just one person that, you're doing what they want. You got to compromise.
Yeah.
It's called working together.
Yeah, and the Bible doesn't explicitly say that you both have to, go to the same church. When we look at the biblical explanation, of a husband and wife worshiping, I'm saying yes, 100,000% that I would like for both persons in marriage, I would teach that to go to the same church. And it has to be agreed upon. We back to, that compromise and negotiation part. And why would I say that? Well, one, to foster spiritual unity. That when we're a family that prays together, stays together, deepen relationship when you're at the same church. To share faith experience about that girl sang that song this Sunday. It ain't the same if you ain't there. Oh, I know it was good, right?
Right.
But also to discuss the sermons, that are being heard. I heard the sermon, this and that, praying together is another reason, right? And to build a stronger community within, when you're worshiping together, and praying together and singing songs together, I think it's 100% that it should be that way as much as it can be. Go
Oh,
to the same
okay.
church, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a question both of you can answer. While dating, what are some of the red flags a person should look for while dating?
Mm.
Well, if I start on that one, I'm always going to say pray first, okay? Not that it's a cliche, but seek ye first the kingdom of God, Matthew, right? But when you're dating, you really do have to have what I call realistic expectations. And
Mm.
it's not going to be a Harlequin romance, it's not going to sweep you off your feet, and it's going to be all of that. But you also are communicating your prerequisites along the way. I have all my single clients do an actual prerequisite for dating. And they say he has to have a job, he has to be saved, he has to have his own car, he has to have his own house, and they list the prerequisites that's required. And they kind of stick to that as they go through the dating experience. And of course, you have to take your time. So the red flag is when a person's trying to rush you to the altar or rush to get you in bed, or they have this expectation that you're going to buy all the food all the time at the restaurant, those kind of things. And then there are religious and spiritual differences. I have a lot of clients who are Muslim or Islam, and a lot of Christians. They try to do that. Jehovah's Witness, we can go down the list, and Buddha. It's just what they have been raised to do. And so when you start dating somebody, are they willing to consider your God? Are they willing to believe in what you believe in? And I've had couples, I did everything I could to save it. But in some cases, they did not honor Christianity. And every Christmas was an issue for the family. Every Easter was an issue for the family. And one of the
Mm.
persons in the marriage couldn't do it anymore. They tried to do it because the other person would not celebrate those things. So the red flags is lifestyle. Uh, but you have to have a positive outlook and again back to God about, Lord, is this your will or not?
Right.
So the red flags are the behavior, the attitude, are they still opening car doors for you? Do they open doors? Those things are old school, but that sometimes the value of that woman is so important. I never like a woman to settle with the guy because he got a house and a big car,
Right.
but he's not loving her as he needs to, and that's a red flag to me.
Yeah.
How you talk to me.
That's excellent. Mel and I have gone to a lot of marriage conferences. And at one conference, this pastor told the story about this couple that came to him wanting him to marry them, but they wanted to write their own wedding vows. And what they said is not as long as we so shall love, or something like that.
Yeah.
Not as long as we shall live, but
Yeah.
as long as we shall love. Like
Hmm.
that was their out, just in case things didn't work out for them. And so he said, "No, I can't marry you." Based on that, he refused to marry them Like marriage is for a lifetime, right?
Right, right. Now, Dr. Barr, you mentioned old school. Got a question for you. Should a couple who's dating, should they seek their parents' approval before they get married? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm glad you let me breathe on that one. But families were raised with traditional values that they have coming up from generation to generation, where a guy got on one knee, he would even go to the parents or the father, ask them, "Could I marry your daughter?" That kind of thing. Uh, I want to say that love is greater. And if I'm loving somebody, because a lot of times parents are very protective of their children. And
Yeah,
they don't always, that you're white or you're poor or you're a blue collar worker or you don't, and so sometimes going to that parent is not always so good. However, if that they feel that they need to do that, again, we back to negotiate and compromise. I'm gonna go. I
right.
go see Kathy's father in Connecticut. She's from Connecticut, so I went up to Connecticut. We were really really good friends in bonding, but I wanted to have an opportunity to see him and talk to him about everything, and he accepted me right as he opened the door. And I haven't forgot that day. And so it was a given. He wanted to know that his daughter was going to be well taken care of. And I
Right.
think sometimes your countenance can show who you are, And he said to me, this is the first thing he said to me, going all the way to Connecticut. How many hours was that? 7?
7 hours.
7 hours driving. So we get to this house, and he opens the door, and this is what he says: "Thank God my daughter finally met somebody that will take care of her."
Oh,
He was 85 years old.
oh,
Oh,
that's wonderful.
gosh.
Yes,
It was touching because that was the initial meeting. He saw something in us that I just wanted to show you how that can. So my sons, our children, I think they asked the parents, could they marry their daughters. So we're talking about different generations now, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and so they asked, is it all right? Sometimes the mom, because the dad may not be, available. And most every single time it was yes.
Yes.
Oh,
So my parents were deceased, and they are, well, not were, they are. But Mela asked my oldest brother for my,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And he actually walked her down the aisle to give her away.
well,
Yes.
So
that's a blessing.
Oh,
So
that's
I
nice.
That's
yeah.
have
nice.
4 brothers, and we were at a family gathering, and my brothers called Mel aside to talk with him. So I was more about what he was going to say than what they were going to say to him.
That's right. I remember that. But I've respected that,
Yes.
and I passed the test.
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
So we're coming down to that. But how long have you all been married now? Just curious.
19 years.
Oh, what a blessing.
Yeah.
we're trying to catch up with you guys.
Well, we just passed 14.
He got it.
Okay,
Oh,
we're on the same
I'll
team.
let him answer to make sure he gets it right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, we want to thank you.
Appreciate you guys very much.
Yes, we really, really do. And we wish God's blessings on you and your family. And, we just appreciate the example and the help that you're giving so many couples
Yes.
as a Christian counseling marriage team, because
Yes.
we know it's
Yes,
both of
sir.
you. All right.
Well, we
Always
love you guys. And we love the work that you're doing, and your work is all divine.
Oh, thank you.
Because there's so many issues that plague our family, our people of color. I have to say
yes.
that,
Yes.
as it relates to going forward in marriage. So God bless you as well, Melvin and Voncille. Y'all have a
Okay.
great day and a great weekend. Okay.
Hey,
All right. Thank you.
bless you as
And
well.
as we always like to close, living a godly marriage is the best marriage.
A lot of things feel out of control these days, so it's time you pick your battles. Skip playing referee in the morning. Skip laundry this week. Skip game limits today. Skip cooking tonight. New realities require new routines, and it's okay to skip some of the old ones. But don't skip your preteens well visits and recommended and catch-up vaccinations.